Assalamualaikum. Welcome back to OCM lectures. Today we'll be continuing with the very same chapter which we have left, that is chapter number 1, Principles of Management. In the previous lecture we have studied about Mr. Henry Fayol and his 14 principles. We have studied various ways to remember those 14 principles. We have studied the shortcut for remembering those 14 principles, and we are very thorough with all the 14 principles, that is division of work, initiative, authority, responsibility, and etc. etc. We are today going to study about another great management guru, another father of management, and his theories, Mr. Frederick Winslow Taylor. F.w Taylor, he was known as the father of scientific management. Do not get confused. This question is usually asked for objectives: who is the father of scientific management? So the answer would be F.w Taylor. And if it is asked who is the father of modern management, the answer would be Mr. Henry Fayol. So there is a little confusion in this thing, but we have to be very sure that father of scientific management is F.w Taylor and father of modern management is Henry Fayol. Okay, so let us study about the father of scientific management, that is Mr. F.w Taylor. Frederick Winslow Taylor, he was born in 1856, and he was an American who started his career as a machinist in Midwell Steel Works Company, and he just started as a machinist. He was the person who used to run a machine. He was a mechanical engineer. But later he rose to the position of the chief engineer in the same company, and he also started giving management consultancy services. Management consultant is an outside person who gives management ideas to other institutions. Okay, so because he had proper knowledge about management and its principles, he was very much aware about how things should be done and what is the best way to do the things. So he started a management consultancy service. So he also introduced his observations and experiments based on scientific data. We have studied about Henry Fayol, and we have seen that Mr. Henry Fayol's principles are based on his experience in his work life. But here Mr. F.w Taylor, his principles are based on scientific data, scientific process, scientific actual application of these principles. Okay, so the Taylor's approach towards management is termed as scientific management. Why is it termed as scientific management? We are going to study today. We have already studied in the 11th standard that management is a science. So I don't need to go back to all those things, but we are well aware that why management is science, because it is based on certain rules, it is based on experiments, it keeps on changing according to the changing circumstances, right? So here also Mr. Frederick Winslow Taylor states that his principles are based on scientific management. Okay? That is why he is known as father of scientific management, because he focused more on scientific management and not on modern and general management. His theory is based on experiments, and it involves decision making on the basis of these experiments. According to Taylor, problems should be solved by scientific techniques rather than the rule of thumb and trial and error approach. Yes, Henry Fayol's principles were basically based on rule of thumb and trial and error approach. If in today's business, if people want to apply Henry Fayol's principles like division of work, initiative, or fair remuneration, they will try. Let's see, this is the situation. If employees are on strike, let us find out why are they on strike. Okay, I think they want fair remuneration. Let us apply the principle of fair remuneration. But you will notice that the employees are still on strike. Why? Because uh, you later found out that there was no better working condition in your organization and employees were fed up with it, and that is why they went on strike. So now the principle of fair remuneration is not applicable. Now you have to apply different kind of principle. You have to apply principle of equity or something else. So this is trial and error method. You try and apply one principle, and then you find out if it is not right, then you apply another principle. So F.w Taylor says that this trial and error approach is very time consuming, and this approach also leads to uh, wasting of time, energy and efficiency. So in order to be better in order to get better results, one should always go for scientific management. One should always go for scientific techniques in management. Definition of scientific management by him is: scientific management consists of knowing what you want men to do exactly and seeing it that they do it in the best and cheapest manner. Management is an art of getting things done. Yes, we all know about this. But scientific management is knowing exactly what you want and what is the best way to do it. Art of getting things done is right. If you are getting things done from your employees, you are a good manager. But if you are not using the best way and the cheapest way, if you are wasting your resources, then you cannot achieve economies of scale. You cannot be using optimum utilization of resources. So in order to use your resources to the optimum level, in order to get the best result, most efficient result, you have to follow scientific management. That's what Mr. F.w Taylor focused more on. Okay, let us study about various principles of scientific management which are laid down by Mr. F.w Taylor. The very first principle of scientific management is: science is not a rule of thumb. Yes, I just given a brief introduction about rule of thumb and trial and error method. No rule of thumb. In order to increase organizational efficiency, the rule of thumb method should be substituted with the methods developed through scientific analysis of work. Yes, like we have studied that managers always goes back and looks into the principles and the books laid down by famous people who have done management in a proper way, and then they see whether they can apply these principles to their organizations or not, right? But he says that instead of going again and again and reading those things and observing those things and then applying to your organization, let us make a scientific technique. Let us develop a scientific way of doing every specific work. Okay? Rule of thumb decisions are based on personal judgments of the manager. Like a manager feels, no, I don't think this principle will be applicable. No, I think that this employee is late because he has some personal problem. That is his personal judgment. Or another example, if a production manager feels that this machine should not be set up at this place, just on his personal experience or judgment, and he then shifts that plant to another place, and then again he suffers loss and waste of time and energy. So that would create a havoc. So in order to avoid all these things, rule of thumb should be avoided. No manager should take decision on their personal judgment. They should have a scientific method that this is the right way of doing things, and then they should do it. Okay, this principle is concerned with selecting the best way of performing a job after scientific analysis for that job and not by trial and error method. Yes, like an example I could give over here is that assembly lines in automobile companies, like companies which manufacture cars. Earlier, cars used to be manufactured at one place only, and workers used to work around that one car, and they used to make that one car. So it used to take a hell lot of time, it used to take 12 hours. Example I would like to give over here would be of Ford Motors. Ford Motors used to manufacture cars in 12 hours a day. One car took 12 hours to be manufactured. So then they went through the principles of F.w. Taylor, and then they realized that in order to get the work done fast, we need to have a scientific work technique. We need to have a scientific method of doing every specific work. So then he made an assembly line, and then he started moving the parts, unassembled cars from one place to another place, and employees used to do their specific work, like the car engine will be moved from one place to another. One employee will be doing nut bolts, another employee would be oiling it, another employee would be doing wiring and all those things. But they won't move from one place to another. The car will move along the assembly line. This reduced the time, effort and energy of the employees, and Ford Motors reduced its working or manufacturing of cars from 12 hours to 93 minutes. From 12 hours to 93 minutes. And it was a record that every 11 seconds one manufactured Ford car used to come out of the assembly line. That was possible because he applied the scientific principle of management, which specified that standard time required and the standard method of doing a work should be first made, and then the work should be done accordingly. The second principle of F.w. Taylor is harmony, not discord. What do you mean by harmony? Maintaining good relations, maintaining coordination. According to this principle, there should be harmony between employees and management. This will help in minimizing conflicts. Perfect understanding between employees and management will be helpful in creating healthy work environment for achieving the desired goal. Organizations should think about maximum prosperity of employees also. Here, harmony means not eating each other's part, not violating each other's freedom, or not taking advantage of anybody. The superiors should not be only bossy. They should treat their employees well, and they should always give them respect. They should allow suggestions and initiatives, and they should acknowledge the suggestions and initiative. If the superiors are bossy and they do not acknowledge or they do not appreciate the initiatives by the subordinates, no matter what a great idea a foreman gets, he will never speak to his superior, because he will be at a fear that the superior may not understand it, or maybe he will humiliate me or ignore me. So harmony should be maintained in an organization. No superior should make their subordinates feel less or make them feel discomfort. Okay, and it is on the basis of both superiors and subordinates. The subordinates should also respect the decision given by the superiors. Third, mental revolution. This is again related to harmony. Taylor introduced the concept of mental revolution. This principle focuses on change in the attitude of employees and management towards each other. They both should realize the equal importance in organization and give full cooperation for achieving goals. What will happen if employees and managers are very harmonious relationship? They are having a very good relationship. They are treating each other with respect, and they are the superiors are allowing feedbacks and suggestions from the employees, and the employees are always following the decisions taken by the superiors. There will be no conflicts, there will be no strikes, there will be no work disbalance. So this will increase the productivity and profit of an organization. So Taylor focused that there should be harmony among the organization. People should treat, in order to be successful, you have to treat people well, and you have to cooperate with them. You have to make a big revolution. Like earlier, there used to be only superiors who used to feel that they are the only one who takes the decision and everybody has to follow it. But later, according to him, following F.w. Taylor's principle, people realized that no, in order to get the work done from others, we have to treat them well, and this would be very good for the organization, and that created that mental revolution. Now the fourth point and the fourth principle of F.w. Taylor was cooperation, not individualism. This is somewhere related to one of the principles of Henry Fayol, that is subordination of individual interest to general interest. Are you remembering something? Yeah? Okay. So cooperation, this principle states that mutual cooperation between workforce is required. This means there should be team spirit, trust, internal competition will turn into healthy working environment. There should not be any competition or competitive spirit amongst themselves. Yes, they should compete for achieving organizational goals, but there should not be any envy, there should not be any jealousy amongst the employees, and you should not be jealous of your superiors that, oh, they are getting all these things, I am not getting all these things, I'll do this and I'll defame them and then I'll get all that things that they have. No, this will create a disbalance among the organization. This will not create a healthy working environment. So what does Henry Fayol say? That competition should be replaced by cooperation. Employees should be treated as an important part of an organization. They should not be treated, a boss should never treat an employee like, you are coming to the job today, you are taking your salary, you have to do this work. No. If there are certain issues with the employees, the manager or the organization should look into it and help him cooperate, help him overcome it. So this will create a belongingness towards the organization, and he'll work hard to give it back to the organization. Okay, and this was on the part of the employer. On the part of the employee, they should resist themselves from going on strikes and making unnecessary demands from the management. Like a very basic example or very ideal example one could give is of Japan. In Japan, people never go on strike. If they have problems with their organization, they have their certain ways, they have their certain techniques of showing that they are angry, or they are showing that they are not happy with the organization. One example I would give would be like, if people want to go on strike, everybody, all the workers start wearing black pants. This is a signal or a flag to the superiors that the employees are not happy with the organization and they are protesting. Okay, another example I would like to give is, they never stop their work. They do the work in a way that it does not affect the organization, but it also does not profit the organization. Like for example, in one shoe manufacturing company, if there are employees in a shoe manufacturing company and they want to go on a strike, what would they do? They would manufacture only one pair, like in a pair of shoes there are two shoes, right shoes and left shoes, right shoe and left shoe. So they would manufacture only right leg shoe. So the production would be continued, and when the demand will be satisfied, they will start producing the left pair shoe. So what will happen over here? Here the time won't be wasted, the production won't be stopped, and the efficiency won't be affected. So this is what F.w. Taylor says, that there should be cooperation and not individualism. The workers should not only think about themselves, they should also think about the organization. The fifth principle of F.w. Taylor is division of responsibility, which is somewhere related to the first principle of Henry Fayol, that is division of work. Here he focused that the levels of management, top level and lower level of management or middle level of management, they should be properly divided. Their responsibility should be properly divided. Like the top level management, what is the responsibility of the top level management? To make organizational policies, to frame organizational policies. And what is the responsibility of the lower level management? To apply or to actually execute the policies formulated by the top level. So there should not be any disturbance, there should not be any confusion about what is to be done and why. So the manager should always help, encourage and guide the employees that you have to do this work in this way, you have to do this work in this scientific way, and then the employees should only do whatever they are delegated to do, and they should not poke their nose in the management, or they should not just get into decision making, because that is not their work, that is not their responsibility. Their responsibility is manufacturing a product, okay, and the responsibility of the top management is formulating the policies. There should be a very, very clear difference between the responsibilities, division of responsibilities. The last principle of F.w. Taylor is development of employer-employees for greater efficiency and maximum prosperity. This is basically scientific selection of workers and training and development of workers in order to improve the efficiency. Best performance of an organization always depends on skills and capabilities. Not you, whenever a company does hiring, whenever a company does recruitment and selection, they recruit employees on the basis of their skills and capabilities and experience and qualifications. Then they provide them specific training about what is the work which they are going to do and what all they have to follow, the process, which is very essential. If you get the best graduate with the best degree and best skills and capabilities, but you do not give him proper training about how work is done in your organization, he won't be able to do it, because he is not trained to do the work in this way. He will do it as per his rule of thumb, as per his judgment, and that may or may not result in good efficiency. So it is always important to do proper training and development of the employees. It ultimately affects the profitability of the organization. Yes, of course, if you are not training your employees properly, they will not do the work properly and your profitability will be affected, and vice versa. Each employee should be given proper opportunity to attain greater efficiency and maximum prosperity. There should not be any partiality, and every employee should be treated well and given training properly. So these were the 6 basic principles of F.w. Taylor, which was based on scientific management. I hope I have made it clear. Thank you.